Hello guys and oh god, I thought there was something on my wall. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do a cut crease. Now I know everyone does this, but again, when I kind of talk about things and wanting to teach you guys things, there's a few little things that people miss out, and that's in terms of like where you're holding the brush, the type of brush, real hair, artificial hair, all these key little things that may change the application of products or the way in which products move and all this kind of stuff, and the products themselves. So I want to teach you guys step by step, very, very in depth, how to do a cut crease, how to master that really sharp shape. Once you get that down, you can do halo eyes, you can do all this other stuff, and you can do a cut crease, change all the colors, and it looks like totally different looks all the time, you know? Two things that are very important before we go into this. Well, two tools. I'll go through all the tools as we go, but two things you really need. An eyeshadow primer, first of all. We're not using concealer. A reason why we're not using concealer, I know some people like to use it as a base, but it creases easily. And I know some people then like to set it with a powder, but we're not doing that because we want our colors to be really strong. A good eyeshadow primer, and not one of those primers a certain company, you know, makes a concealer and then calls it an eyeshadow primer. So we're not going to use that eyeshadow base. And then also we need a flat brush with artificial hairs, and that could be a concealer brush, it could be they're mainly concealer brushes, so we want it to be really flat, really sharp on the edge. Again, I'll give you guys my recommendations, but you're going to need those two especially as we get on with this tutorial. So yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them below. I'm all about educating you guys and I want you to learn as much as you can. So if I miss something out of this video, do let me know. Go ahead and subscribe for more tutorials, more educational videos like this. So let's go ahead and learn how to master this cut crease. Okay guys, so first things first, I've kind of done my brow already. So I am using the eye base first, and this is a priming potion from Urban Decay. It's one of my favorites because it sets to this waxier texture. So eyeshadow blends really well. There's absolutely no creasing at all. This is not going to crease. You don't have to spend hours patting it in. It's just perfect. It works incredibly well. So I'm just using a flat brush to do this. I'm going to spread it over the whole lid. I'm going to use a thinner concealer brush, and this is the one that we're going to be using to do our cut crease as well. And I'm going to use it to just carve out the brow now. So you'll see I'm using right the edge. And I'm still using the same primer. I'm not adding any more on. I'm just using what's already there. I'm just going right along the bottom of that brow and make sure it's nice and sharp. And I'm going to pat onto the lid. I'm patting the base, I'm never dragging. We've kind of just set everything out where we need it. So now I'm just patting onto the lid. Make sure you get right up to that lash line. You want to get really in tight. I take a tiny bit of what's left over on the brush underneath the eye as well, just to add a little bit more hold there. It's a really great idea to use the warmth of your finger to kind of set that base even more. For me, it's not about setting the base. I have really kind of dry eyelids, so I need the warmth to stop the base from clinging onto my dry skin. I'm just going to blend in the edges there. You may have noticed that I'm not wearing foundation, and this is because I always do eye makeup before the foundation, so we can kind of do the spread of the base, and just in case we get any fallout, I like to keep it nice and tidy. And here I'm just kind of trying to show you guys that it's not going to crease even if I blink or open my eyes or do all that kind of stuff. That's what an eye base should do. Okay, so we are using the Lime Crime Venus palette, and I'm taking this shade first, and we're going to take that right through the socket. I have a small blending brush. It's not tapered, anything like that. It's just a very small brush, but I know I can kind of push into the socket and just blend out where I want. So you notice I'm pushing into the socket, going backwards and forwards, and then doing circle blending movements. I'm kind of coming in at a slight angle, and I'm holding the brush right at the base there. If you hold the brush further away from the hairs, you're going to get a lighter blend. If you hold it right next to the hair, you're going to get a really kind of firmer, harsher shape and less of a smoother blend. I'm just filling in the corner there with some of that eyeshadow. I'm using a big clean blending brush. I'm going to use this a lot throughout this process to go and even smooth it out even more, to blend the colour out a lot more. We want this to be really soft. We want our blending to be really perfect as well. Okay, now we're taking our next colour, which is this one here. Patting that slightly on the corner of the lid. I'm pushing it into the socket. So that gap between my eye and the brow bone, we're pushing right into there. We are going to take the colour slightly higher because we're doing a cut crease. We kind of want there to be colour above the cut crease. So now I'm blending a little bit. I've just gone slightly over a brow bone. We're not taking this up too high. Blending should take it up higher. So I'm still pushing into that socket and blending. The brush is big enough to blend it upwards, if that makes sense. So I'm not taking any colour up. I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, as they apply a product above the brow bone. Colour ends up there when you blend naturally, so don't take it too high. I'm going to run some of that colour underneath the eye as well. And you can see we're creating almost like this triangle, kind of cat's eye shape. Don't worry about being too neat under the eye, because we're going to go under there and tidy it up with concealer as well. So now we've applied the colour, let's take that big blending brush, holding it right at the tip there so we get a really soft blend. And then we're just going to go around the whole thing. I'm going around the edges of where I applied the eyeshadow. So think of it as you're smoothing out the edges, you're blurring out the edges, and then just buff gently over the whole thing. Take your time, get that gradual fade. You see I'm still sticking to the brow bone, I'm not taking it any higher. Backwards and forwards and circle motions. When you're doing the circle motions, circle inwards, circle outwards as well. Make sure you're doing both directions, otherwise you get an uneven blend. I feel like that's blended enough for me. If you need to tidy up the shape a little bit, just keep going, keep buffing outwards. You can always add more shadow. I'm taking our darkest colour now. This is going to mainly be in the socket, under the eye, and on the outside corner of the eye. So start to build it up on the outside corner of the lid first. Then we will start to blend through the socket. You can see I'm really pushing into that socket, and you see my hand is further up the brush. That's because I want to apply the colour just in that area. I want it to come out really strong, and I want it to come out harsh as well. If I want it to be softer, I'll put my hand further away from the hairs. But I really, really want to push it into that so I can get a strong colour from it. Can you see how dense that's come out compared to the other colours because of where we're holding the brush? I'm still doing the same movements. I'm still going backwards and forwards. Doing circles inwards and outwards, but because I'm holding it up, we're getting a really strong heavy colour. Now we can go through with our big blending brush and make sure everything is soft. Not too soft, we want this to be dense. One thing as well I just want to mention to you guys, wherever you put the brush first, after taking some of your colour, remember that's where the most colour payoff is going to come out. So always start from a similar place, otherwise you're going to get a really patchy eyeshadow. Taking some of that colour underneath the eye now. Notice how I'm coming straight forward using the tip of my brush. I'm not coming from underneath, and that's again because I want a really dense colour. If I was to come in from underneath, it will be a little bit softer. So I'm coming in straight forward, building up the little bit of darkness on the outside corner of the lid there as well. We will go back and build this up. I'm going to use my blending brush. I haven't put any colour on this. I'm going to hold it right at the other end so it's soft. And this isn't our big clean blending brush. This is a small one with all the colour build up on it. And I'm just going to go around that brown and soften everything up a little bit and blend that in now. So again, I haven't used any extra eyeshadow on this brush. It's just the eyeshadow from all the times I've used it before. Not like ever in like this look, I mean. And then we're going to go around the edges with that big blending brush. So notice how I'm buffing in all the sides. Sides, you know what I mean, like edges of the eyeshadow. So now we are going to cut that crease. So if you look straight forward at your eye, assess where you want that crease to go. You're kind of going to have to bring it higher than your natural eye socket. So I always look straight forward into the mirror first. So I have this brush, flat and very sharp. I have a concealer on my hand. This is the only time we're going to use concealer on eye makeup. And I'm patting both sides of my brush and then patting away the excess. We don't want too much. We want to still be able to control where we're going. So looking straight forward into the mirror, starting from the inside corner where that kind of like little bit usually highlight is, like the tear duct. And I'm going to start to carve out where I want my shape. So I consider my eye is quite hooded. So I'm drawing over the hood bit. So you can see that's not my eyelid, that's higher than my eyelid, but that's what we want. We still want that look of a cut crease when our eyes are open. And I'm coming straight in with a brush. I'm using that very sharp edge and I'm starting to fill out that inside corner. Start tracing your outline first, bit by bit, and then fill in underneath bit by bit as well. Can you see what I mean there? It's very important to add product onto your brush as you go. You don't want any concealer to dry out because then you're going to get this feathery look. See how now I've carved out that shape? And we want that to end where the side, oh, let me look forward. We want that to end where the side of our pupil is. Can you see? So my eyes are open and you can still see it. So let's start to shade in all that area there. Start to tidy up where we've carved out. I've never left my skin when I'm carving out that side shape. My brush is constantly touching my eye and I'm going backwards and forwards and almost like in little feathery movements carving out that shape. If you lift your brush off away from the eye, you're not going to be able to put your brush down exactly where you were. So if that makes sense, it's important to keep it on the skin and do feathery backwards and forwards movements like this. So we're just going to make everything a little bit more intense by building up that concealer another layer. Taking it right up to the edges where I made that shape. You're going to want to keep changing that shape, but just add gradually, don't take it too high, be patient with it. And you can see at the edge there, you can see all the eyeshadow that we did before, the brown and the red, are just creating a really nice shadow around that cut crease. Now see how I've taken that tail out slightly, very slightly longer than the actual cut crease itself, or the actual bit that we've shaded in. Okay, so now we're going to take a clean brush, like a flat, real hair brush, and we're going to blend it outwards. Always blend it outwards. We want to fade that colour out, not take any in. So very gently and really light, feathery hand movements. I'm tapping the rest of the base in, and as I get towards the outside of the cut crease, towards the darker end, I'm going to bring all that outwards. So we get that kind of smoky, almost like you're buffing out a smoky eye. It's important that it's real hair because real hair kind of picks up a bit more product, if that makes sense. So that way you're getting a nice soft blend from it. If it was artificial, everything will just kind of slide and you wouldn't get that blended kind of, I guess, smokier look with it. So now let's take a highlight color. This is just a lighter tone than everything else, and we're going to pat onto the lid. Never wipe. Pat right onto that whole area where we've created that cut crease. So on every bit that's a little bit lighter. I like to go around the edges first, so I make sure I get really close to it. Be very careful, you don't want to go over that white line, you just want to keep it all in on the inside. Sorry, I'm getting really like, I'm talking too much. So let's take that second colour we used, that kind of warmer red tone, one you can kind of see more around the edges. And you see how the white goes straight down? We want to go diagonally across the lid with this red. So tapping very gently, we're going to make almost like this slope. Notice how I'm taking the colour outwards and I'm not taking any in. We're blending that brush out, 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 out. That helps it fade a little bit more rather than having like rigid lines. Now let's take that darker colour, the dark brown, and just build that up in the outside corner. Similar shape, we're going to do that kind of slope shape on the outside corner. Sorry, I keep looking down at the screen in this. There you go, building up, tapping, tapping, tapping. Making it a little bit darker under the eye. I forgot what that word was. And see how I'm coming straight in again? I'm taking it right up into that inside corner, so there's no kind of gap between the light and skin. We want that light a bit to fade in. I'm taking our big blending brush and just going around all the edges just to tie it all up. I'm taking concealer now. And I'm not taking it right up to the eye, I'm kind of going around in the shape that we want to make, because we're going to blend this with our finger as well. So I'm really making it into that nice kind of cat's eye shape. Same with the inside corner, I'm starting a little bit higher with that. Just try not to go over the eyeshadow as much as you can, because we still want it to blend. Try and get a nice crisp line. There obviously will be a few little bits that go a little bit over. I'm now just going to blend this in with my finger, my ring finger, because it applies less pressure. So the same finger you use to kind of apply eye cream. And I'm just tapping, 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 tapping. Don't wipe, always pat and tap. If you wipe, you're removing product away, you're taking product and moving from where you want it. If you're tapping it, you're just tapping it into exactly where you want it. Let's take that blending brush again, go right underneath, almost like you're going round the bottom of the eyeball, and you get that nice fade back into the skin. I'm just adding a little bit of that colour because I think it dips down in the corner there. Tiny little bit. All good. No, I'm going in with more. Oh, I just wiped it on my hand to clean it, and then I was just going over with the brush to blend it out, make it softer. So one thing I like to do when I'm doing a cut crease is to put a bright gel liner on the waterline. I'm using the yellow gel liner here with an angle brush. And notice how I'm using my little finger to kind of just tug gently on the skin under the eye, just to pull that waterline right down. And I'm just tapping, again with the tapping. Be very careful if you're wearing contacts like I am here. Liquid liner can kind of grip to it a little bit, and it's difficult to take off. But this just adds that bright pop of colour. You could also go in with a black or a brown or a red or whatever you want to do to kind of tie it all in together. I just really like the yellow against red. So now we can just add our mascara here. I don't know if anyone noticed, but the lashes on my eye, half of them point up and half of them point down, so it makes it really annoying to apply mascara. I always put mascara on the bottom lashes. Even if I'm doing something natural, I'll use a brown mascara. A lot of people say it runs, but that's because they're not using the correct base. If you're using concealer, it gets oily and oil runs into the lashes and it starts to smudge. So if you're using a base like this Urban Decay one, you have that waxy finish. No oil is going to come through your eyelids at all, I can guarantee it. So you won't get any of that smudging. So to finish up the look, let's just apply some lashes. And there we have our perfect cut crease, nice and easy, step by step. So I hope all of that made sense and it helped you guys out. It taught you some things. Excuse me, sorry, like I said, if you guys have any questions, if you feel I've missed something out, or there's something that you don't quite understand, maybe I didn't explain it very well, leave a comment down below or go ahead over to my Instagram, message me on there. I'm on that every single day, most of the day. So just go ahead and let me know on there. Thank you so much again. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you very soon, guys. Bye.